Why do I need a will? Doesn't the government have some sort of schema in place as to who gets what? And won't most of my assets be distributed to my spouse and my children anyways? If you've had these thoughts, well, you've certainly come to the right channel and the right video on our channel. If you're confused about the benefit of a will, what a will even is, and the advantages of having one versus not having one, well, in this video, we're going to walk through concrete benefits of having a will, because there are many, and I don't think enough can be said about those benefits. Having a will for me is a matter that's personal. As Pam Matani, as a lawyer, I certainly understand the legal benefits of having one, but it's also personal to me as a woman. Far less women than men draft wills in today's society in Canada and in the US. And that is, it's surprising and perhaps a little bit unfortunate to the extent that women are so closely involved in, oftentimes, right? Women are so closely involved in the general day-to-day of the house and its affairs. And yet when it comes time to preserving their wishes from the afterlife, if you will, they don't take that final step. And it doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. Ideally, all women and men and all genders would have a will in place to begin with, okay? Another anecdote that comes to mind with wills for me is when I completed my, or when I was during my undergraduate studies in Boston, I enrolled in, we had to take courses from all different disciplines, and one of them was ancient history. And I enrolled in an ancient Roman and Greek history course. And I forget the name of the emperor, but there was this emperor who every day would go and update his will. And he said the worst day of his life was the one day, only one time, he didn't update his will. He couldn't sleep that night, and he didn't have a very good day that day either. And of course, hearing that example before I became a lawyer, I went to undergrad and then law school, it plants that seed in your mind of, whoa, this is a really important thing. And then you go to law school and you understand the legalities of why it's important, and then you start practice and you become a parent or whatever have you, a homeowner, or this and that, and you understand the practicalities of why having a will is important. So let's get through the list. I have maybe 6 or 7 concrete benefits that that arise with having a will versus not having one, okay? Now, first benefit of a will is that you can clearly outline your assets, okay? There are, I believe, I remember reading something, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in assets, something, a number to that extent. I don't know if it crosses $1 billion, but it was up there, that nobody knows who they belong to in Canada, if the person is deceased, you know, if they did die, who they would have given this money to. There is so much money that goes unclaimed every single year as a result of lack of clarity with who this money should have gone to. There's just no reason for you to not take the time to put this document together and do your best to ensure that what you've worked hard for in this life makes it to the right people. What I advise my clients to do every time I've ever had somebody draft a will is I have them draft an accompaniment to the will, whereby this document, not the will, the piece that I advise to accompany it, is not necessarily legally binding, but it's a document where I tell you, write down your checking account numbers, write down your savings, write down RSPs, write down stocks, bonds, whatever investment you have, write down if you have more than one home, write down the home addresses so that and what bank they're with, so that somebody knows what you hold in this life, what you have, so that when your time comes, not necessarily a good time, but it comes for all, the person you've left behind and you've left in charge knows where to go to get your goods and put it in the hands of those you wanted to put it in the hands of, okay? That is a tremendous benefit. The government doesn't know who you are. They're not, you know, when your time comes, they're not going to knock on your door, you know, and come to your husband with a box of goodies. You know, she had a good run. This is what she left for you. This is what she left for those two little guys in the corner. That's not how it works, okay? But you can get closer to that vision by having a will which clearly outlines your assets. So that's my first benefit. And the second benefit builds closely off of that, and it is that the will can address more complex matters such as international holdings you have or businesses you may have. These are items that, while there's a benefit to all for having a will, the more complexity you have in your financial life, the more of a benefit there is to you drafting a will, okay? And for reasons closely tied to what I mentioned in the first benefit, who's going to know where these homes are? Who's going to know what this business is and does, and the details behind it? So it's really important to capture that. Make life easier for who you've left behind as well, in terms of, you know, principle and moral. They're already going through so much. The last thing you want them to be going through is, oh my God, well, what did she leave, right? And to be fair, that might not necessarily be their first thought either. They're going to be in a tremendous state of confusion, whoever your most loved ones were in this life, having just lost from their side of the table their most loved person. And I don't know that it comes to everybody's mind to go after your assets the morning after, right? So take good care of, make good note of what you have, what you worked hard for, and exactly who you want these items to go through to. Okay, these items are goods to go to. The third benefit I have is about, it's the one thing on this list that to me is more important than everything else, and of course that item pertains to children. If you have children, very unfortunately it happens sometimes that children are orphaned. Both parents pass before age of majority. If that's the case, you're either relying on somebody to step up with the goodness of their heart and do what you didn't do yourself, in recording that this is my person that I choose to take care of the kids, and you rely on them to say, I'm the person she wanted to take care of the kids, or the court can pick a total stranger to be guardian of your children, court-appointed guardian, right? I don't know why you would want to do that. Now, I'm not saying people are doing it by choice in not drafting a will, but now that you know that drafting a will gives you that as a benefit, protecting your children and the guardian that watches over them if and when you're gone, why would you not put together that will? Why would you not put together the will? And obviously that clause within the will, okay? Fourth benefit. I already mentioned everything's going to pale compared to the children, but the fourth benefit, just as hiring or putting together, identifying a guardian for your children, is identifying a guardian, the term for whom is executor, for your estate, right? It's not, nobody knows who you would have liked to look out for your things, for your goods, right? There might be, if you have a spouse, you've obviously had conversations with them, or, you know, you've had some conversations with them, but if your spouse passes as well, you know, like there are plans that need to be in place. Who do you want to be the executor of your will? Who do you trust the most? That's what the question comes down to. And with the trust, of course, there's the subcategory of who do you trust the most as a person, and who do you trust that has the requisite skills to be able to carry this function out that has been left upon them calmly and well and responsibly, right? Identify that person in your will so that you're not leaving it up to, again, somebody doing what you couldn't do, and that is stepping up and saying, hey, I'm the person, or court-appointed executor. Another benefit I have here is that drafting a will can reduce taxes. It can be beneficial when it comes to taxes. There's a few ways we do this in practice. One is, I'll give you the two most popular ones, or two of the main ways we do this. One is through devising trusts, okay? When it comes to trust, we see spousal trust, we see trusts regarding minors. If you don't know what a trust is, it's something that you put together whereby one person holds assets, often money, and trust, holds that for the benefit of the person who you actually intended the goods to be for, right? And that person that you're intending to get what you've left to them is called they're the beneficiary you have in mind, okay? And sometimes that beneficiary can be a minor, sometimes there can be issues of capacity and competency. That's why you would have somebody in trust for that person, okay? And one other way that we can help that financial picture after you have passed away and the will comes in place is insurance. If you have life insurance, you can help children, spouse, pay for some of the major taxes that they might face on for example, real property, okay? Capital gains taxes is something you might have heard about. Insurance can help offset some of those costs because they can be severe, okay? Two things I want to say before I log off on this video. One is that wills can be amended, okay? When it comes to people, all sorts of people, all sorts of life stories between people on earth, and sometimes we can put together a will and, you know, our relationship with somebody is a certain kind of way, and that relationship might improve or deteriorate over time, and that happening might have impact on you and what you want to do with your will. Rest assured, you can amend your will. That's just what it is. You can change it whenever you would like. Of course, the way you change it needs to be legally adherent. We don't want to, you know, there's certain lines that can't be crossed when it comes to drafting a will, but you can update your will when you would like. You can update your will after the first time you sign it. That's okay. Another thing I want to say is that when somebody comes my way to draft a will, I mentioned the accompaniment piece, but that's for financial reasons. That's to highlight accounts and assets and things like that. One other piece that I always advise them on is to put together powers of attorney, okay? Views on life and death aside, that's not what this video is for. It is a fact, however, that not everybody passes just like that. For some people, that process can be, you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your views, I'll just state the fact of the matter is that for some people, getting to that final stop, there can be sickness, there can be disease, there can be so much suffering for that individual prior to getting there. There can be issues of capacity that are introduced. There can be a whole host of reasons where they're no longer able to make decisions over themselves. They're no longer able to make decisions over their assets. And again, when it comes to planet Earth, we've seen all sorts of scenarios under the sun, and you can imagine whereby somebody could want to take advantage of a person in such a scenario and deplete their assets, and then what is the purpose of having had the will anyways when there's nothing left? Other times it might just be as innocent as, you know, you haven't identified anybody, so it just takes time to pick that person and for that person to be appointed in a legally adherent manner. But and of course everything in between that spectrum, in between those two ends. But none of those scenarios are benefiting any of the people you care for most on this earth, and the assets you wish to be distributed to them. So I'll end the video there. I'm a big fan of wills. Of course, here at Graphene Business Law, you know, our slogan is all business all the time, and that's a matter of fact. We work primarily with entrepreneurs and business owners. However, making a will is so personal to me that I felt the need to make this video, because it's beyond business owners that should have a will. Everybody should have a will, and everybody can benefit from the making of a will, as we saw in this video, for all of the reasons we outlined. There are more reasons. You know, we'd be happy to talk to you about here at Graphene, and really help you understand your options when it comes to making a will, what you can and can't do, what the different clauses and stipulations are, and we can work through all of that. We certainly have experience with drafting wills. That's how we're able to, you know, speak on the matter publicly as well. And as a woman here, as the principal lawyer of Graphene, me as a woman, I see particular benefit to putting that will together. So I'll end the video there. Like I said, thank you for watching, and if you want to reach out, it's graphenebusinesslaw.ca, and you can email us inquiries anytime at info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca. Thank you for watching.